Hippopotamus almost became the go-to food for Americans. It sounds outlandish, but 100 years ago, it was a very real possibility. The bill that would have supported it was even introduced in Congress. This is the story of the American Hippo Bill. The story takes place in early 20th century America, a much different place from today. In the early 1900s, a particular problem arose in the United States: the meat question. Due to a combination of factors including increased immigration, westward expansion, and a growing demand for meat both domestically and for export, America needed meat. However, a certain Frederick Burnham had an idea. You might not have heard of Burnham, but you do know him. He was the inspiration for Indiana Jones. Ever heard of the Boy Scouts? Burnham was the model for the entire organization. Lord Robert Baden-Powell, founder of the Boy Scouts, had been one of Burnham's commanders in Africa during the Boer War. He created the Scouts to raise generations of boys to be just like Burnham. The neckerchief thing? They wear them because Burnham had always worn one in the desert. Apparently, while fighting in Africa, the Scout even spent multiple days hiding in an aardvark hole to avoid capture. I can't really stress enough that this guy was built completely differently. After recovering from war injuries, Burnham had come to America. Around 1906, he attempted to bring African animals to the USA. He wanted antelopes and giraffes to be imported from Africa to the American Southwest, and while he raised about $50,000 for the project, it ultimately failed. But the idea didn't die. Burnham came upon a new animal that could be perfect for America: the noble hippopotamus. He told his good friend, Teddy Roosevelt, who thought it sounded good and offered to cooperate on it. So in 1910, Burnham published an article arguing for the transplantation of African animals to America. The basis? America needed more animals and meat. Following this, Burnham got the chance to present to the House Committee on Agriculture about his idea. One congressman, Robert Broussard, realized that the idea could be perfect for his constituents. Broussard represented a district in Louisiana that was being decimated by a plant called the water hyacinth. Imported for the 1884 World's Fair in New Orleans, the water hyacinth conveniently choked out entire waterways. Ecosystems were failing and shipping routes completely impassable. What a kind, nice gift from the Japanese delegation. But hippos would eat the water hyacinth. Hippos could multiply and fix the problem, while also solving the meat shortage. In fact, America's Gulf Coast, states like Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi, they'd be perfect for the pose. Broussard introduced the American Hippo Bill, House Resolution 23261, in March of 1910. Right here. Also, there are 375 pages of this. I hope to not have to look through one of these again. The bill proposed the allocation of $250,000 for the importation of useful new animals into the United States. However, the proposal was really aimed towards hippos. The press loved the idea. A 1910 New York Times article claims that 1 million tons of, and I'm quoting, the most delicious of flesh foods, worth $100 million, could be grown yearly. Remember, it's not called hippo meat, it's lake cow bacon. Now, according to the Washington Post, it was a question of only a very few years now when large shipments of hippos will be made to America. One other notable person took up the cause of the hippo: a man known as Fritz Duquesne. Duquesne is perhaps the most interesting man I've ever had the pleasure of researching. I'll make a video solely on him in the future, but here are a short list of some of his deeds. At least 40 known aliases, ranging from Frederick Fredericks to Fritters to Fred Boucaine, blowing up British ships during the First World War simply because he hated the British, insurance fraud for his own items that he was leaving on the ships he blew up, faking paralysis for months in order to escape prison, and operating a Nazi spy syndicate. Also, during the Second Boer War, he had been assigned one specific task: kill Frederick Burnham. Yet, in 1910, Duquesne was simply a man in America chasing the American dream. As a Boer, he believed in the potential of African animals and fell in love with the hippopotamus idea. Well, the House wouldn't be able to act on the so-called Hippo bill during its 1910 session. The three men believed that it could easily pass in the next one. They started the New Food Supply Society to lobby for the bill. Sadly, the society struggled to get off the ground. Burnham's planned exploratory trip to Africa to scout out other good candidate species for importation never happened, as he was forced to defend business assets from the Mexican Revolution. Meanwhile, Duquesne dove in. He organized banquets, serving all variety of African animals, and he thought bigger too, envisioning importing elephants into Central America to work on farms and pull carts. But hippos just didn't seem to be on the menu anymore. Broussard continually pushed the introduction of his bill back, year after year. The Department of Agriculture changed their view, instead favoring the idea that the Gulf Coast marshes should be turned into grassy pastures for raising beef. Sadly for hippopotamus lovers, the Hippo bill would never be passed. But was it really that insane a proposal? From a modern perspective, yes. Invasive species can be incredibly destructive, and they got into this mess with the invasive water hyacinth in the first place. But historically, there actually was precedent. As Burnham himself noted, African camels had been successfully introduced to the deserts of the American Southwest. But while the United States didn't get its hippos, another country did. Colombia currently has a population that may number as many as 200 hippopotamus, the result of escaped animals from drug lord Pablo Escobar's estate. Hippos roam wild in the Americas, just a bit farther south than was originally planned. That's all from me here at History with Dino. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back next month with another video. Thank you all for all of your support. Peace.